Alright guys, I'm here in the Harley Davidson demo days, trying to ride every single bike on the lot. And today we're going to ride the Lowrider S, if I can actually find it. I think it's all the way down at the end here. But I rode most of these bikes. I think I only have maybe 4 or 5 more to go. This is pretty awesome. So Lowrider S, do you know your motorcycles? It's actually this one, Lowrider S. So they actually, I think last year, they came out with the Lowrider ST, which actually has the bags and like a mini fairing. It's kind of like a bagger racing kind of setup. But this one is pretty nice, Has a nice stance to it. I love that it has pegs. Seems like everyone's going with floorboards anymore. The pegs are pretty high up too. I'm actually 6'4", 240 pounds, so this bike actually fits me pretty good. Alright, so to turn it on, very simple controls. You just turn the ignition on here, hit the start. Of course, you want to make sure it's in neutral. If it's not neutral, it's not going to start. So there you have it. Very simplistic, very simplistic. It's got like this bullet kind of a fairing on it. You got your standard Harley Davidson mirrors, kind of blacked out mirrors. I guess these are the standard ones. They seem different blacked out. I guess I'm used to the chrome ones, but I guess they are just the standard. So this is the FXLRS. I always get confused about the letters. People say, oh yeah, I took the FXLRS out. I'm like, what bike is that? It's the Lowrider S. Alright, so we're going to take this one out, do a little cruise on it, see how it handles on the road, see if I can get around all these people. So this is actually a Friday, here on a Friday. So I might come back to, if I don't finish all the bikes, I'm going to definitely come back tomorrow. I definitely kind of crunched on this because the foot pegs are pretty high on this one. The brakes seem interesting. Seems like the brake lever could actually come up a little bit more. It seems like it's positioned down a little bit, which is interesting. So brakes are not that great. Kind of like what you'd expect. Seems like the shifter's too high. It's like the ergonomics of this, when they put it together, it was kind of whacked. Seems like you have to lift your foot way too high to shift, and you have to put your foot way too low for the brakes. I don't know who put this bike together, but I would definitely change it. Ooh, this got some power. It's a fun little bike. Yeah. The good thing about no fairing is you get no buffeting. You don't have to worry about the wind dynamics coming around your fairing, which is nice. Got plenty of power. It's got the 114, I think. I think this is the 114. Oh, this is the 117. Okay. So I actually bought a Fat Boy, 2023 Fat Boy with the 114, and that thing is fast just because it's a kind of a smaller bike. Doesn't have as much mass to pull from that engine. It's got a nice sound, nice pickup. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Pretty solid in the corners. Pretty firm suspension, I'd say. I'd say it's one of the firmest. You could definitely, I'd say it's probably the firmest suspension of all the Harleys. Other than like your Iron 1200, those are like, I don't even think they make the Iron 1200s anymore, but it seemed like they had a stiffer suspension. So we're going 59. It's pretty nice for 59. I feel pretty well planted. You can feel more vibration up through the handlebars than almost any of the bikes. I definitely feel scrunched with my feet way up, which kind of sinks my tailbone down into the seat, which is not very good ergonomics. Of course, I'm 6'4", so it's kind of hard to find any bike that fits me really without modifications. But on this one, I'd probably do like forward controls. These feel like they're mid controls actually. I think that's why last year I was riding one with forward controls, and it seemed like it was a lot better as far as the ergonomics. So for me, the mid controls just really don't work that good, being so tall. It is a fun bike though. There's definitely a fun factor on this one. Very bouncy. I didn't realize the roads were this bad until I got on this bike. I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of a washboard and kind of a road with little bumps in it. And never really noticed it until I got on the lowrider. So, yeah. This is kind of the bike that I compare all suspensions to. Like if it's really bad, I'll be like, yeah, it's kind of like the lowrider. Kind of just a raw bike where you can feel the road. Versus like you know, some of your, like the Road King is probably one of the best as far as just kind of cruising down on a pillow. The Road Glides are really smooth too. I thought the Ultra Limited was one of the smoothest, but you know, this isn't really like a highway cruiser. This is more for like around town. Slow speed stability is really good actually, for not feeling like you're gonna fall over at super slow speeds, because you really don't have any weight from like a fairing or any like a touring pack or anything that's high up. Yeah, I think a mechanic needs to go in here and adjust the position of the brake and the shift lever, because it feels a little odd. And it actually has a air cleaner that sticks out. Those air cleaners usually hit my shins, you know, like the shin of my right leg. But since it's mid controls, which I've never actually rode a lowrider with mid controls, the air cleaner doesn't hit me at all, which is pretty wild. It's definitely a different experience with mid controls on a lowrider. The mirror placement is not that great on this bike for me. Seems like I'm seeing a lot of my arm instead of the road behind me. Some of them are really bad. I think the breakout was the worst. I love the breakout, except the rear view mirrors. We're going, let's see, 70 now. Not too bad for 70. It feels like I could probably confidently do some highway riding on this, even with the firm suspension. Of course, you could always go in and upgrade your suspension to like some Legends or some Ohlins or something and make it really smooth. So as far as wind deflection, you just got that little bullet of a wind deflection. Seems like it does take some of the wind pressure maybe off my chest, to where I'm not fighting the wind as much, I'd say, on some of them, which is pretty nice. Has a good sound to it. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this bike? I would say the one thing I really don't like about the speedometer, it's got one instrument cluster. It's like one gauge, and I don't know why they do this on a lot of bikes, but on this one it's actually, I mean, the main thing that you can see is your RPM. So when I look down, the first thing I see is, oh, 2,500 RPM. It's like, why don't they do the speed limit as the dial and then have it like a digital RPM? That'd be so much better, I would think, instead of flipping it around this way. So I can't quite figure out the understanding, unless, you know, they just don't want you redlining it. Maybe if you redline it, the engine blows. I don't know what the thinking is about putting the main thing that you see is the tachometer. It's just kind of weird. Yeah, I almost have to pull my foot up off the pegs to actually downshift because the shift lever is so high up. Let's see how it turns. I'm sure this one's fine. Turn around. Yeah. Easy to turn, just kind of whip it right around. Put down a foot to stop. Alright, let's see. Yeah, just the ergonomics. You can definitely work on it. Wow, it's a fast little bike. It is really fast. It's actually surprisingly fast. I guess just because it's a light bike. So really, when you're going on the highway 55 miles an hour, you can't hear the engine. You maybe hear it a little bit when you give it some gas, but the engine's not that loud. You know, some of them are kind of so loud you can hear them over the wind noise. This one, there's basically no wind deflection at all on this bike. Yeah, I definitely feel scrunched the way it is. That's kind of how I felt on my Fat Boy when I bought it. I actually changed the seat. I actually put a little backrest on my Fat Boy, and then I put crash bars and then foot pegs on the crash bars, and it completely changed the ergonomics to where now it's like super comfortable. So you can take a bike like this that doesn't feel that comfortable, and you can just do a few modifications and kind of tweak it to where you're really comfortable on the bike. I don't know, one of the reasons I bought the Fat Boy is just because the look of it really appeals to me. Just the style. So this one's got a nice style too. I think I prefer the Fat Boy style a little bit better than this one, but it's almost like a completely different bike. This one's like more of a raw kind of a, like a cruiser kind of chopper kind of a bike. Fat Boy is a little bit maybe more dressy, I'd say, than this one. A little bit more formal, I'd say, maybe. It seems like every bike has pros and cons. And then for me, being so tall, it's like every bike I sit on, it doesn't fit. There's always something wrong with the bike that I could fix, but I just have to modify it with, like, you know, different like a different foot position or a different seat, which is easy to do. It's just, you just have to realize that you can do it. So I think that's one of the big things is when people are test driving bikes, is they don't realize all the different modifications that you can do to the bike to make it a lot more comfortable. But it's pretty nice, pretty nice, pretty nice. Back brakes, you really got to get on those brakes. Yeah, love that. It's the roar of taking off. Really nice. So it seems like maybe it's geared a little bit different, because I'm going 57 in 5th gear, and it seems like I'm at 2,500 RPM. I think that's why it seems faster, is because it's geared lower. More torque at the low end. Shorter gears, maybe. Different gears. That's what it seems like. Versus on some of your bikes, you could, you know, in 2nd gear, you could get up to 55. But they're like more for the highway. Yeah, I don't know if you'd want to go more than faster than like 75 on this bike. Yeah, I could definitely feel the road vibration coming up through this bike. Definitely one of the stiffest ones. That's one thing I noticed. So if I bought this bike, some of the things I would change, I would change the foot position. I'd probably change the seat. I'd probably upgrade the shocks. Put some better shocks on it. And then it'll be a really nice bike. That would completely change it. Completely change it. Alright, so now that I've been riding for, what, 20 minutes? 25 minutes maybe? The seat is very fatiguing. The seat's pretty fatiguing. So I don't know if I could last more than maybe an hour and a half on this thing, and I'd have to stop and take a break. I don't even know if I could last an hour on this bike. A seat change is really easy. It's just like one bolt, you just pop off the seat, pop on another one. I changed the seat on my Fat Boy. One of the easiest things you can do is change the seat. But yeah, my knees are scrunched on this. I feel like with these mid controls, it's almost like way too scrunched. But it is a really fun bike. I'd have to change this bike up a lot to really get it dialed in. Alright, so we're back at the Harley Davidson demo days. I think I only have like 3 or 4 bikes more to go and I'll be done. Which is pretty nice. So the weird thing about this bike is it is a pretty high bike. It's just the pegs are like super high on this bike, which make me feel more scrunched, but I think it's got a good, it kind of spreads me out though. So it's not really, you know, a hopeless bike for a tall person. I think it would fit a tall person with the right modifications. Has a good sound to it. Has a good feel. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Easy to handle. One of the easier handling bikes, I'd say. Nice. That is fun, really fun. It's always a fun bike on a lowrider S. Pros and cons to every bike. It's fast, it's fun, sounds good. That's an awesome bike. I love everything being blacked out like that. It's awesome. All right, so that is the 2023 Lowrider S from Harley Davidson. That is the FXLRS. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along, and I will see you next time.